All right, two things as we start up. First, I have to go into. I've got to go into the Rankin college into Rankin today and attend to some personal matters there. So this lecture is only going to be about 20 minutes long. All right, and then we'll be done for the day. And that's the first thing. The second thing is I've got everything in this routine working except for the actual query because I have to manipulate that a little bit. So that should be the only error that's in here. Here's the data source. I had defined all the connection, everything up here. I don't have to do that, so I don't do that till later. But there's the connection string. All right, and I want to just go through the new stuff. So all this validation, I'm taking for granted that it makes sense to you. Maybe that's not a fair thing to assume, but I'm going to take for granted that it does. I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some comments in there because some of it we went through kind of quickly. All right. Once you get through everything, then you want to try to write the record to the database. Again, this is all within a try catch block. So you're going to try to do everything. And if for some reason it fails, we want to handle it, but we want control over how we handle it. All right. So we create our connection. We open the database connection. This is wrong. All right. I tried to get it done during the break, but I just didn't have time. All right. So I will fix that for tomorrow, but that will be the string that will have the actual insert command in it. All right. Then we will set up a command object to hold that, a data adapter so we can talk, so to speak, to the database. Then we will attempt to actually do the insert right here. When you do the insert, all right, when you do an insert, you don't get anything back. In other words, if I go and insert a record into a database, I don't get anything back. It succeeds or it fails. So what you do when you do an insert is you do what's called an execute non-query. All right. And really, a non-query means I'm not doing the select statement. All right. And if everything worked, it's going to come back in here. I can't spell, but it's going to come back in here and it's going to say a record has been successfully inserted. All right. Then we dispose of our command object and we close our database connection and we call clear the form because we're ready to possibly try another insert. If this failed, all right, if we get any kind of exception in here, it just says record insert failed, error occurred. In fact, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say here plus ex.message, because that way the system will give me whatever the message was, the system message if that failed. All right. And in here, this is just going to clear out. We've got 8 fields, right? It's going to come in and it's going to clear out. I don't even know if I have that open anymore, but it's going to clear out our customer insert field. All right. And I'm looking at that in this clear customer form. All right. I'm going to see if I can put that into our helper class. It might be able to, I might not be able to, but I should be able to come have that come back in there and clear everything out as well. All right. So I might take that whole method and put that in there. The idea is what I am trying to do is to be able to start to write what would be the equivalent in here of some kind of a class library where we go in and we put our routines that we're going to be using a lot, we put them in there. All right. So the big takeaway from this, let me close a few of these things because I got way too much junk open. So the big takeaway in here is what we want to do is we've got 8 fields. And we want to validate all 8 of them. If all 8 pass, when we click this, then what we want to do is we want to take what's in each one of those fields, write it to its equivalent spot in the database, clear this, and bring the form right back again. So if we want to go and insert another record, we'll be able to do so. Now, I have a question for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keegan?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what we will worry about next in here, all right, is the next thing we want to do is we want to come in and we want to update a customer. Now, I don't remember even how many customers we have. I think it was 32 or something like that. But the bottom line is what we want to be able to do is when we run this routine right here, this is going to be a drop-down list. And what I want is I want it to fill up with the customer names. So if Jeff Scott is a customer, I want to click there. You know, I'll get in the drop-down, I'll click on Jeff Scott, and it will fill in Jeff Scott, 751 Par Road, you know, all the other stuff that we had in here. And again, we're going to have to break this down. We're going to have to break this down just like we did before. But what that'll allow me to do then is I can come in then and change any of the 8 fields that will be in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 after I, you know, fix them up, so to speak. And then finally, when we come in and we come in to delete a customer, all right, again, this will be a drop down. So if I grab Jeff Scott, it's going to fill in everything. But what I want you to understand is when it fills in everything here, these are all, I didn't do it yet. These are all going to be read-only fields. If I want to delete something, if I want to delete it, I don't need to change anything. I don't need the ability to add anything. So other than this, every one of these fields, all right, that we put in here, I don't know if it'll let me do it in one swoop or not, but where it's got, yes, it does, read only. They are now all read-only fields. All right. Plus, when I do either a delete like this or what I just showed you, when we come in and we do an update like this, we always want to ask the user, are you sure you want to do this? We don't want to ever assume that the person who's running this program has a clue. They might have a clue. They might not have a clue. All right. So I'm going to change around the order in which I was going to do these. And what I mean is, I am going to fix this. You can do the same. You're both smart enough to do this, but break this down into 3 fields: a city field, a state field, and a zip field. Break that down into 2 fields. All right. Now you've got your choice. What we probably can do for the delete is we probably could combine them. Just in the, you know, we're not changing anything here. We just want to print that out, print that out, print that out. So that one we might be able to just do as city, state, zip. All right. Now, I just went through a boatload of stuff with you. My question is, after I explain what we want to do, you know, and after we get done with this one, maybe we'll do categories next because that's so nice. It's only got 1 field. So that one should just go like that. But then we'll have products and orders and order details. My question to you is, as we're doing this, we are literally building a relational database management system. We have the ability to take this, it's a trim down, because again, I didn't want to worry about employees and I didn't want to worry about product vendors and vendors, but we have the ability to take this database with 5 tables in it and add records to any of those 5 tables, remove records from any of those 5 tables, and update records from any of those 5 tables. All right. So in what I'm saying right here, does what we're attempting to do, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as we go in, think about this. if we go in here and we attempt to remove Jeff Scott, all right, but Jeff Scott has orders outstanding, the system is not going to let us do that. All right. So in other words, the system itself is going to make checks on here. So when we go in and we attempt to add records, update records, and delete records, it'll probably be easiest for us if we go in and just use ourselves or something like that, add ourselves as a customer, do some manipulations with that, and then start playing with that. So we don't do anything to temper with or ruin or whatever the actual data that's in there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What we did today, what I proved to myself, was don't come in here and attempt to write a 300-line program in front of the class, because you're going to screw up more things than you're going to get right. The point is, I did send you as a text file with this last email. You have a copy of this. So this code you now have a copy of. The only thing we should have for sure have to make a change to is, again, in here. All right. And that is writing the actual query. And the reason that I didn't get it done, and just so you know, just so you see this, is when you start writing this stuff, it's really hinky the way you write it, not just in C#. Java works the same way, and many other languages work the same way. But notice we have to put things in both single and double quotes. And you screw up one of those, the whole thing doesn't work. All right, so I started to write it right here because this was the old thing that I used last year that only had a couple fields in it. I'm more concerned with you guys, though, if it turns out that it takes the rest of the week to do this, but we get, let's say, all of them done, or 3 of the 4 done, or whatever. All right, what we're going to do next week, just so you see some of the more advanced type of stuff that you can do with a database, we're going to create one more form. And when we do, it's going to be a very general or a very generic form. It'll have on it what is called a data grid. I don't expect you to know what that means. All right, we'll talk about it. We may have even mentioned it in chapter 18. I don't remember, but it's going to look like a spreadsheet. And what we will be able to do is, if you imagine that this is our form, this area pretty much right here, that area that's in there, that'll look like I said, like a spreadsheet. All right. Then when we get down here, this button will be down in the corner here, and it'll be pretty small. And we will have in here, we will have a pretty big text box. Why? So we can write our own queries in the text box, click the button, and then whatever we wrote in there for a query, the answer will come up in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Because I think that then you will have the chance, if you really want to learn this stuff more on your own, then you'll be able to go in and at any time write queries and see what the result is of the queries. You'll be able to write selects. You should be able to, I'm not sure about the inserts, but at least you should be able to do selects. You should be able to technically to do joins, and all the SQL stuff that we talked about, the earlier stuff before we got into the inserts, the updates, and the deletes. You don't want to do inserts, updates, and deletes inside of a data grid. It's not that you can't, all right, but it can be problematic to do that. If you want to do inserts, updates, and deletes, we should be using these forms right here. All right. So even though it may or it may not seem like it, all right, either way, we actually went through quite a bit today. All right. And, maybe you're still like, yeah, I know that. But is there anything that I went over with you that you just thinking about it like this doesn't make sense, that you have questions on?
No, no question.
Nothing that I can think of.
All right. So what we'll do is I will attempt this afternoon. I'm going to lecture in my afternoon class, but I should be done in there by 2. I'm going to attempt for tomorrow to, at a minimum, fix the query here, get that done, and then we will start on the update, and then we will go with the delete. The good news is that when we do this, we should be able to take a lot of the stuff that we're doing and reuse it. See, what I'm hoping for, and again, I have not, I'm going further with you guys, believe it or not, than I did with the people a year ago. But what I'm hoping for is I'd like to be able to take these validation functions and put them in that helper routine. So I don't have to rewrite those. So I can use the customer validations, whether it's a customer insert or it's a customer update, and then do the same thing for the other 4 tables. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
what that's going to mean is that rather than writing that code twice, and it may not sound like that big a thing, we only have to write it once. All right? Because we are going to have to write it for each form because each form is different. All right? And you know this already, that the insert form that you have for categories, for instance, only has one field in it, category description. So that one, like I said, should be easy to do. This is one of the harder ones because, again, we're breaking it up into 8 different fields. All right. So that's what I've got for today. All right. It is about 10:42, and like I said, I've got to get to. I'm hoping that Mr. Corrigan is going to be there too, because I got to meet with him about some problems that I'm having here with the machine that I'm using. All right. So no homework, but we will start up right at 8:05 tomorrow. Okay. Thanks. You can drop off. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.